given by Ulf Schirmer, the intendant of Leipzig, for the abrupt withdrawal. That's such a weird sentence now. Take 2. The Italian-based baritone Vincenzo Resciglian. Take 3.
Can we edit?
Yeah. He did something, but is not here. Take 3. All right, take 7, whatever this is. Okay.
On the Dallas Opera Network, you're listening to Opera Box Score.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Wherever you are, however you're listening, it's America's talk radio show about opera. It's Opera Box Score. I'm George Cederquist, joined this week by Oliver Camacho and Weston Williams. All right, we go inside the huddle with Daniela Candillari, who was just named principal conductor of Opera Theater of St. Louis. Oliver and Maestro Candillari talk about her very recent conducting debut at the Met in Aucoin's Eurydice, about working with friend of the show, Joseph Latanzi, on Gregory Spears' Fellow Travelers, and she geeks out with Oliver on a Mozart piano concerto. Hey, way to keep it relevant to a wide audience, OC. Plus, 2-minute drill. Cancel culture kills Katerina's classic co-production, and Central City celebrates a stylish CEO. Try saying that after 3 gin slings. Look, if you're watching on TDO, you want to make sure you subscribe to the whole podcast. Get that full show. It's on Stitcher. It's on Spotify. You're going to click follow. Apple Podcasts, super easy. Smash the plus sign. Send us a voice memo. Email us your hot takes. operaboxscore@gmail.com will get your voice on our show. We'll get you an OBS beer coaster and an OBS lapel pin. Olympics are in the books. Oliver Camacho, are you lonely with no more Olympics?
I'm not gonna lie. It's sad to like turn on the TV and to switch over to NBC and to not see, men with very developed buttocks in skin tight.
I think there is a channel for that, Oliver.
But not where you can watch it publicly and, ogle without being judged,
Yeah, but enough about curling. Weston, how about you? Are you lonely now that the Olympics are gone?
I still have yet to be lonely because I still haven't gotten those Peacock passwords sent in from any of our listeners, You don't, obviously they don't want the free OBS beer coaster and lapel pin, but they could get one if they send me their Peacock password. You just have to do it.
I
Send
got
it right
very
to my
frustrated
DMs.
by the Olympics because I don't have Peacock. I just have, NBC terrestrial TV, and there was literally nothing I wanted to watch on there. Hockey was a complete bust for me this year. USA out early, Canada out, Sweden out, Finland, of all countries, managed to win the men's gold. But get this, Valtteri Filppula, who was on the Detroit Red Wings team, my Red Wings, in 2008, led them to the Stanley Cup in 2008. Here we are, 14 years later, winning a gold medal. To me, in opera, that just gives me so much drive to stay in this business and to play the long game if someone of that caliber in his field could go the distance. Let's talk some opera.
Huddle up. Let's go inside the huddle.
So Daniela Candillari is having an amazing year. She started in the fall by conducting Eurydice at the Metropolitan Opera, a show which happened to be her Metropolitan Opera debut. She participated in the film of Svadba, which you can watch on the Opera Philadelphia channel. Very recently, she was named the principal conductor of Opera Theater St. Louis, and very soon she'll be coming to Chicago to conduct Fire Shut Up in My Bones, and then she will spend the summer at Music Academy of the West and Opera Theater St. Louis. But to make her year even better, she is our Inside the Huddle guest. Eurydice, this was such an approachable score. I really was listening and feeling like, oh, this is great. It's a brand new opera, but I'm getting it. I thought the text was set so well, and I thought the performance were so good. How did you feel about working on this show?
I loved it. I was thrilled when I got asked to join Yannick and the whole team and work on Eurydice. I have a little bit of history and a little bit of background working with Matthew Aucoin because we worked together on Crossing when it came to Brooklyn Academy of Music in 2017, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And I fell in love with his writing. It was a very unique voice. I love the way that he already in Crossing had these moments of minimalism, but also extremely expressive 12 tone techniques. Everything was incredibly tonal and yet sort of shifting. I don't know if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But nothing was expected, right? Every sort of new turn and every new note that came was just seemed like a little droplet of wisdom, of beauty. And when I got asked to join Eurydice at the Met, I mean, I think I screamed for about half an hour.
Was it your debut at the Met?
Yes, it was.
Oh,
It
wow.
was my debut, and initially I got asked to cover, and then later I got asked to have one show, which then of course the screaming continued up into the night, I think. But I was just so happy to be working on his music again and to be working on this piece. And one thing that I remembered when getting asked to work on Eurydice, there was this final chorus in Crossing where the story has ended and it was sort of an epilogue. And the way that it was staged, the chorus comes onto the stage dressed in modern day clothes. And just the layover of the harmonies, the beginning pitches of the chorus, every single time I saw that in rehearsal and in performances, I was getting teary-eyed.
Mm.
And I thought, oh, this is what we're in for again with Eurydice. And it was truly the sort of same emotions came back, especially with Eurydice's aria, with father dying, with his farewell, with the monologue. It was just incredibly moving, and I'm always excited when I see Matthew's piece, when I see that he's doing something new. I'm always curious, like, oh, what is it gonna be
He's
like
a
this
little-
time? And
He's
what
a
is
little
he gonna come up
genius.
with? He's amazing. He's
Yeah, and
amazing.
they printed
yeah.
that article. I forget, it was the Atlantic or something, where he sort of analyzed the finale of Marriage of Figaro and why. I don't know if
Yeah.
you read that, and why it's so touching. And so
Yeah.
it's just so great to hear that somebody thinks about those things that much,
Yeah.
and maybe is using some of those rhetorical devices in his own, music.
I think definitely, because I think harmonically the way that, especially when he talks about Count singing Contessa Perdono,
Mhm.
I think it falls into similar harmonic structure that a lot of music that I've been touched by Matthew is. So there is definitely that sort of nod to the tradition and nod to earlier opera, to sort of where we're coming from in his contemporary writing, in his very much 21st century yesterday modern writing.
Well, Chicago audiences will know you from your two appearances with Lyric Unlimited, Fellow Travelers, and An American Dream, both shows that I was very moved by. And I wasn't expecting, so people who listen to this show know that I'm very traditional and conservative in my taste. Like, I'm like bel canto, Mozart, Baroque, if I'm feeling a little bit spicy, some Strauss, but yeah, but to go all the way to something that's contemporary, it takes me a long time usually to enjoy new music, because I have a very small brain and I can only enjoy things when I understand them. So if it's too much new, if it's too many things that I can't access, then I just close down, So both of these shows were both very, in the end, accessible, and the storytelling was very clear. And I remember being very moved watching Fellow Travelers, maybe because Joseph Latanzi is also so good looking, but also because I thought it was just directed so sensitively, and and the music was gorgeous. So I don't know if either of those shows or something you want to touch upon those projects with Lyric.
I mean, those were both very, very special projects for similar and different reasons. Fellow Travelers was, of course, my first time in Chicago, and my first time at the Chicago Lyric. There's our puppy. First time at the Chicago Lyric, and I was so excited to be there, and at the same time, I was so nervous about my work and how it was going to be received. As you know, Fellow Travelers already had a premiere in Cincinnati, I think in 2016, and then it came to New York to Prototype Festival in 2018, and then we did it at the Lyric. So there was already this group of singers that did the premiere and then did New York production, and which was essentially Kevin Newberry's production, but the performance here. And then they came to Chicago Lyric, and I felt like I was the new kid on the block with a couple of new sort of members of the cast. And I think that always that sort of mix of having a group of people who has already done stuff and then adding a couple new ones, I always find that extremely interesting in seeing how things are going to come out at the end, because there's clearly, with a group who has a history with the piece, they already know what they want. They've lived through it. And for us, we're meeting them where they are. And so we need to accelerate much, much faster. And then together we need to create our own story. So those were all sort of unknowns to me that I was just like, hoping I do a good job. And obviously I've been invited back. So, hopefully that means I did do a good job.
You're doing Fire Shut Up in My Bones in Chicago, which is, I mean, maybe the most talked about opera of the past, 2 or 3 years. And huge success at the Met, and going to come to Chicago just in a couple of months. Mm-hmm. So it seems like you are, at least for Chicago audiences, this conductor who does new music with a social justice slant. That's your brand.
Looks like it. Looks like it. No, but what I wanted to say about Fellow Travelers, I just remember, again, falling in love completely with the score. And Greg has this ability of also fusing this really early Baroque gestures into a contemporary musical style, and finding a way to fuse them and to sort of layer them. There were moments of American minimalism.
Poor sweet dog who just had a surgery, a surgery we don't like to talk about as men.
Yeah.
So.
So he is not living his best life right now. But there were moments of American minimalism, as I mentioned, and Baroque, and also all these dance movements that I think were just so beautiful and so well represented on stage. And I remember first time, again, that I heard Joseph Latanzi's Hogs aria, Our Very Own Home. The orchestra just creates this texture where the voice really has a chance to lead the story and to narrate the story. And then the clarinet solo with it together is just so beautifully paired. And of course, then every punctuation that happens sort of irregularly in double basses where the harmony switches just for a hot second. It was so beautiful. And I feel in Greg's writing, there's this, and the same as I find in Matt's writing with Eurydice, there's this element of giving the listener actually a space how they want to interpret the music, which is very much a Renaissance and Baroque style, but it's also the American minimalism has this incredibly strong romantic element to it, where I really think both of those, or all of those, invite the listener to be present and to sort of find interpretation for them, which is so powerful when you're participating in an opera performance.
Good call. Bad call on Opera Box Score.
It has been a great show, a really fantastic guest, and we'll give Daniela Candillari a thank you. In the closing credits, before that, good call, bad call, something great from Opera Land in the past week, or something truly dreadful, or perhaps in a related field. Oliver Camacho, what's on your mind?
Well, this was announced a couple weeks ago. We didn't have a chance to talk about it, but the new season of Great Performances broadcast from the Metropolitan Opera, essentially the HD broadcast reformatted for TV. The schedule has come out, and the first show already happened. Boris Godunov premiered, I guess it was last week or 2 weeks ago. We will get Eurydice in March. We will get Fire Shut Up in My Bones on April 1st. And they already put stuff on the schedule that hasn't happened yet. So let's hope that there's not a new variant that prevents us from seeing the Don Carlos and the new version of Hamlet by Brett Dean. And Ariadne of Naxos with Lisa Davidson. That'll be really cool. And our friend of the show, Brenda Ray.
Weston Williams.
This is kind of old news. I believe we mentioned it back when this production was in development, but there was I thought of it again because there was an NPR article out there about it. There's a new production of Fidelio staged by New York City's Heartbeat Opera, which has been updated to talk about the Black Lives Matter movement, the prison industrial complex, the incarceration of black men specifically. And it's stripped down. Obviously, it's reworked to work within that context. But there's a performance of various incarcerated people singing in the chorus. The
chorus of prisoners, yeah.
O welke Lust, yeah. And it's the video is on the NPR thing, and I remember we talked about this way back when they were planning it, but it just came across my radar again, and I watched it, and it was really moving and really shines a light on our society that we need to start dealing with, and I think that's what art does best, and that's what Beethoven would have wanted.
More than 100 million people watched the Super Bowl, and
that was like a month ago. What were we talking about
that?
That?
2 weeks ago. And more people watched the halftime show than watched the game itself. I was so wowed by the halftime show. If you haven't seen it, give yourself 50 minutes. I did some deep diving on that. That Super Bowl halftime show was designed by S. Devlin, who is one of Britain's truly legendary scenic designers. And she knows nothing. She had admitted this in an article. She knows absolutely nothing about hip hop, Compton, hip hop culture,
American football, probably.
Now that last one is neither here nor there, but she did her due diligence. She did site visits. She's talking to all these hip hop artists and created just a fantastic design for that show. That's it for this week's edition of America's Talk Radio Show about opera. Our announcer is Norm Woodel. He's at normwoodel.com. Again, if you're watching on TDO, make sure you subscribe to the podcast, get that full show. Stitcher and Spotify, you click follow. If you listen on Apple Podcasts, just hit the plus sign. Again, send us a voice memo. Email us your hot takes, operaboxscore@gmail.com. You're going to get no BS beer coaster and lapel pin. Our creative consultant is Oliver Camacho. Our audio and video editor is Weston Williams. For our guest, Daniela Candillari, I'm George Cederquist, asking you to continue the conversation about opera with Jake Heggie, if you can find him. We're back with an all-new show next week when we game out the intersection of politics and opera. Plus, you get more opera headlines, more hot takes, but no more ice skating drama. Join us.